On this week's episode of An Echo of Glory, it's a happy pod as we win for the fourth time in a row, smashing United 3-0 at Old Trafford. And we also look ahead to the Europa League tie in Budapest against Ferencvaros. Welcome to another episode of An Echo of Glory. Joining me on this joyous day, Ollie Spiro.
Morning.
Morning. And Gary Diamond.
A joyous morning.
It is
a joyous morning.
Hammering down with rain outside, but it is sunny and warm and happy in here.
Isn't it just?
4 wins in a row. Gary Diamond, you weren't right. You just said it might happen.
I was right.
No, you weren't.
No. We sat here. You guys said, if we lose any of the next 4 games, we're even. And I said, what if we win them? What will the conversation be then? So let's have that conversation today.
You want to have that conversation today?
Yeah.
All right, we'll have that conversation today. Should we start with a bit of club news?
Always.
There are some defeats to talk about, or one defeat to talk about. The 21s lost 3-0 at home to Leeds, struggling, but we said ad nauseum why it's a transition season for them.
Their next game?
Their next game is?
Them lot. Yeah.
The South Londoners.
Yep.
Where is it? South or North London?
South London.
We've got to travel.
I think so.
Yeah, okay. And the 18s won 1-0 at home to Reading. They're doing really well. When I last looked at the table, I think it was a live table at the time, they were third. I'm sure there were some other results. They are still third.
Yeah.
Well, good for them. And the women drew 2-2 at Villa. They were 1 up, and then they were 2-1 down, and Beth England scored a 96th minute winner. Villa got some good players. The manager wasn't very happy with the performance, but it's a good result to draw 2-2 at Villa. Anything else to report in the club this week before we pick up on the men's team?
No, I don't think so. It's been a quiet week other than the games.
Yeah.
Well, because we're doing podcasts twice a week, it sort of soaks it up naturally.
We're done.
Yeah.
We're
so
done.
we can just talk about football and enjoy it.
So, all right, we'll go straight in then. The senior men have won at Old Trafford, which doesn't happen too often. More so than it used to.
A lot more so than it used to.
So we had the 6-1, the 3-0 under Jose.
Yeah.
The 3-2 under AVB was the first one.
That 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably
Was that
Was that the Dempsey one?
yes.
Yeah.
That was probably Fergie at that moment realising I'm probably done. We hadn't won there since
1989.
1989.
There was the Pochettino one with Bale, and when Bale absolutely did.
No, that's AVB.
That's AVB.
Oh, was that the one with Bale absolutely did Ferdinand?
But the 3-2 under AVB was probably the moment. It was almost like the bookend for Fergie. If I'm losing at home to Spurs, it's a sign of where we are, where we're heading.
And what? So did we win there under Poch?
We won 3-0 the beginning of the season. We got to the Champions League final. Mora got 2. Mora got.
Mourinho was their manager. Yeah.
Mourinho was their manager.
No, I think it was 2. Was it 2-0 or 3-0?
3-0.
3-0.
Mora.
When we beat them, we seem to really beat them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and tell you one game we're forgetting under one of our greatest managers on a horrible weather day. Our gilet wearing caretaker. We won 2-1 there, if you remember.
I don't remember that.
Eric, I was in hospital that day. I can't remember what for. Ericsson scored.
Oh, this is coming back to me.
I can't remember who else scored, but I've got visions of Ericsson almost scoring a header from like some weird bobbly cross.
Give me a potential
2-1.
No year.
Well,
it's under Sherwood, so it's
Okay.
2013 or maybe even the beginning of 14.
I mean, I would guess, I have no recollection of this game, but I would guess it would be Adebayo would be the other scorer.
Play some hold music while I let this up.
And then they saluted each other.
New Year's Day 2014. And you had a big night. Is that why you were in hospital? Adebayo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did they salute? Have you got a picture of them saluting?
No.
each other?
Adebayo, Ericsson, and Danny Welbeck pulled a goal back for them.
I've got no recollection.
So that's right. We won 2 years on the trot. That because we'd just beaten them under AVB.
And we've but also crucially, we had the near misses as well. When you know, I think all three of us, when we're sitting there on Friday having the podcast, we didn't really discuss it, but we know that again, it's a kind of Bermuda Triangle vortex for us in terms of refereeing decisions. You know, so within that huge
Nani's
period
goal.
of Lineker to Clint Dempsey, we've had the Mendes goal.
Yeah.
You've had the do you remember that free kick that
the Nani.
when Gomez Gomez thought it was a free kick, and Nani then put it in.
Nani,
goal.
Yeah.
We had the penalty. We were
two up,
and Howard Webb.
Couldn't
Going
wait.
further back, we talked about the other day the Cantona goal in a 1-0 defeat in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
When
we had
similar to the Nani thing, we took a quick free kick and Sheringham went through. I don't know if he scored.
He was 1-on-1.
And he would have scored because he was Teddy Sheringham. And the referee just went, no, United weren't ready. Like, what do you mean you weren't ready? It's not up to them to be ready. It was our free kick.
No. It was their free kick. They passed it across.
They passed it.
Sheringham intercept it. And then he's like, oh, quickly blew up. But all of these brings you back to the fact that whatever the state of the United team, and actually, it was mentioned on Friday, winning at Old Trafford is still
a great achievement,
a really big achievement, and we're playing against a really poor United team.
But you still
guys of our age, guys and girls of our age, we know what United could have been or what they were before, and winning United feels good. And you're also sitting there thinking you've got a really long journey back to the home counties as well.
We once went to Old Trafford and sat in the home and got some tickets, and the blokes in front of us were from Bromley. So that's what happens up there.
But yeah, it's so. In all, we all go into that game particularly worried about refereeing decisions, and
we got one.
We got one. But
let's just go through the
just
team.
A brilliant performance.
Go through the team. Vicario back four picks itself. It might not in the coming weeks with an injury to Udogie, but Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie. 3 in front: Kulusevski, Bentancur, and Maddison. Johnson, Solanke, and Werner. Son obviously injured against Karabag. Discussion was, will it be Werner? Will it be Mikey Moore? Look, I know it's hindsight. It was never going to be Mikey Moore. Bissouma on the bench surprised a few people. We talked about possible formations, but hey, listen, he's stuck with what he knows or wants to play, and that's absolutely right. Were you happy / surprised? Anything you would have done differently? I know we won 3-0, but when you saw the team, you were like, yeah, okay.
I think I was hoping to not see Werner. The two players that I feel like I didn't want to see in the starting lineup were Sarr and Werner. Sarr, because I think the more natural footballers you have in a team, away to a team like United, the more control you're going to have of the game. I think Sarr is fantastic closing down, brilliant to bring on late in the game and press and keep the momentum high and so on. And I think he's got a lot of value to the squad, but I didn't want to see him starting. Werner,
as he actually did yesterday.
Absolutely
and
correct.
Had an assist within a second.
Yeah, absolutely correct. I think Sarr came on in exactly the right time, exactly the right sort of role that Sarr should be playing. Yeah. But I don't see him as a starter. And I think Ange realised that maybe after St James's when he said, I started Sarr because I felt we might need some legs in midfield. But actually the second half performance when Sarr came off, we gained even more control of the ball and pushed them back even further. This is not, like people like to jump on everything we say, this is not Sarr hate or anything like that. I think Sarr has a very specific job.
I can't believe you want us to sell Sarr, mate, if I'm honest.
I think Sarr has a very specific job in the squad. And I was pleased to see him not start because that could have been one way that Ange could have gone. The other one was Werner. And this is a difficult one because actually, I go back to what I was saying in the summer. I think Werner is a highly impactful and effective player. And his actual goal contributions last season were very high pro rata. If he'd played 38 games last season, he'd have had 25 goal contributions pro rata as to how he was going. So you can't say he's not a good player. The issue is this season, he hasn't yet found any form.
He's barely played any football.
He is not an attractive footballer.
No.
He's a tremendous athlete. Great work rate, great discipline, follows instructions, holds his position, is a threat. But when it comes to actually kicking the ball, there seems to be a problem. It's a shame because I really like the guy and I really want him to do well because I think he comes across like a really nice guy, great attitude, somebody that you'd want in the squad. But as I said on the last show, I would have personally, but what do I know? I would have gone with Maddison on the left and Bergvall and Kulusevski, or Bissouma and Kulusevski.
But I think naturally, if you want to keep the same shape, you
exactly
have to
exactly that. I think Ange looked at it and said, "Look, we're in a rhythm, we're in a routine. I like the combination of Maddison and Kulusevski. I don't want to disrupt that. I like Bentancur behind them. I don't want to disrupt that." So Werner was always the obvious choice, as much as we may not have liked it.
I'm also going to say as well, we praised Pape Sarr for his contribution when he came on. I don't think I can quite do the same for Bergvall, who was we were 3-0 up, great, and I know the game's over, but actually he was quite wasteful with 2 or 3 things. Actually, and it panned over to Ange, and he sort of
screamed
through his hat. So actually, when we were, Bergvall's got this wonderful narrative around him, but he's still really raw, and this is a way to unite it.
I don't think he's. I think he's kind of proving. I think he's definitely an absolute player in there.
Yeah,
we all, like you said, but he potentially could have started. Don't think he's ready to start. I don't think Mikey Moore's ready to start. Like, people were going on about Mikey Moore starting, and this morning, he was great when you can see the bloke's an incredible runner, cut inside, hit that shot. He would have taken so much.
Very nearly went
15,
through and
20
got
minutes.
there ahead of Onana.
Yeah, he would have taken so much from that 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah,
he might be starting on Thursday. I don't think he's ready to start Premier League games. Do you think? Do you think Werner's broken as a footballer?
I actually, I think I look at the guy and I think he's like a shattered sort of individual. And I know that Ange likes these Cinderella stories. He comments about Solanke not having a straight linear career of progression. There seems to be a common theme in that. But actually, I think Werner just looks a bit of a shattered man.
I wasn't disappointed we brought him back. Actually, I will be honest. I was one of those people who thought, I'll take that. But actually, maybe we should have said thank you. Your work is done. Really appreciate what you did.
But as much as that might be true, when you do think about yesterday, it was the natural choice for Werner to come in.
Yeah, of course.
And if Werner wasn't there, you have the injury to Odegaard, the injury to Son, and suddenly without Werner there, the squad looks thin with Werner there. And, for everything that we're saying about Werner, he actually played pretty well yesterday. He was a menace, he was a threat. He was, and he did his job.
But as you say, until he has to actually...
Until he actually has to play...
But my view is, he's had 2 one-on-ones. One's at 1-0, one is at 2-0, and also I think it's important when you're playing it again, playing against 10 men, the approach by the team that's got the 10 men. I mean, if I was managing United, which would probably do a better job than the incumbent, but if I was managing United, I'd be saying, you've got to give the ball up somewhere. There's a player you have to leave free. You're almost like, leave him, leave Werner.
Well, Craig
free.
Burley tweeted yesterday, Werner's doing his best to keep this at 2-0.
I think it's really harsh. I think Werner's a hard worker. I think he's good defensively. I think he gives you width and he holds the width. He gives you pace. He's a threat. And as much as he is a natural footballer, if you do leave him, then at some point he's going to do something. He's going to pick out that cross as he did a lot last season, or he will get the goal.
But right now,
and right now, I'd rather have him in the squad than not have him in the squad.
But the point is that what we've done by bringing him in the squad, as I said, back in January, absolutely fine, get it. In the summer, we've committed to him on £180,000 a week,
as well,
really early. There were, senior England international left wingers who went from one London club to another, paying £100,000 a week and no fee. Right at the very end of the window, we've committed to him. He's an overseas place on the squad. We've had a huge argument on my WhatsApp groups about, this so-called, we can't stop the progression of Moore. Well, that to me, again, feels like one of these PR spins of narratives of why we're not going to spend... Because actually, would a really serious title-chasing, top-four chasing team have re-signed Werner, or they've actually said, no, Moore's 17. I'm not building a whole squad around Mikey Moore. Anything could happen to him. He's an amazing prospect. I think he's ready now, or I think he's ready in 2 years, but we've got to get to 2 years.
Yeah,
and Werner, I don't believe is going to get us to that point. And, as I said, he kept chalk on his boots yesterday. He kept his shape. He made it harder for United, fine. But every time the ball came to him, bless him. And I think,
but he also needs games. He needs minutes.
He's carrying baggage. I think
he does carry. I think he looks like he's carrying baggage of someone who gets shunted around Europe, and he knows the criticism. He knows he can't finish, and I think he has meant it weighs on him. But
he's only got to look at Brennan Johnson as an example, right? And Brennan Johnson 4 games ago was down in the dumps. It only takes a goal. But
Johnson's getting minutes. Johnson's getting minutes.
Yeah, right. But Werner's about to get minutes, right? At some point we're probably going to discuss the lineup against Ferencvaros. It's going to be an interesting one because I don't think Son's going to be fit for Brighton from what we're sort of seeing. The South Korean manager has
he's already said
that he's sort of intimated that Son won't be fit for Brighton. So let's assume Son's out of Brighton. Then it's a question of do you start getting minutes into Werner's legs against Ferencvaros? I'd give him 60 minutes against Ferencvaros, and then start him against Brighton. And suddenly he starts to get minutes, and then disrupted, unfortunately for him, by the international break. But actually, 60 minutes against Ferencvaros, a team that he should be doing damage to, really, and then go to Brighton and see how he gets on. But
and also between now and then, potentially set up an Instagram page so he gets abuse and then can go on to a good goal scoring run. Is that how it works?
That's brilliant, Steve Johnson.
Well done, Brendan Johnson, and thanks to all those trolls who have made our right winger play really, really well.
Yeah, superb. All right, so talking of Brendan Johnson, we are 1-0 up in 3 minutes. I mean, it's all. Listen, we could talk about Johnson gets the goal, but what, that geezer, Mickey van der Ven.
The second time this season he's done it as well.
This was better.
I was going to ask that. I was going to ask people that. I was going to ask, what do you think was better? And for me, this was much
No Everton
better.
player was near him. That's incredible.
Well,
Again,
the first thing is, for the Everton goal, it was kind of like, I think they misplaced the pass and went straight to him. You could say it was the same here, but he had to read it and get round.
He totally read this United.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, and Rashford put in so much effort.
But Dalot
was disgusting.
at the back post. Oh,
if
sorry.
that was my right back,
you'd never play again.
if that was my right back,
Left back.
But back to the run.
Yeah, left back. If that was my left back, I would have insisted the guy never played for the club. Like, that was disgraceful.
At the moment, that's them.
And actually, I don't. The main media I've watched since the game, United lost, and by the way, they played against some team. I don't know who they were.
But that's always going to happen.
So it's nice to actually spend time talking about Spurs. Van der Ven, he just picks up, and when he picks up, you're right, he picks up sort of on the curve. He's like a sort of 200-meter runner. He's John Regis about to sort of hit into the. But it's just something. But his running stride is just such an odd. Remember like Michael Johnson, like really odd running style, very upright. Van der Ven's very different. He's actually he crouches over as he runs, but his legs suddenly like spread out, like so. He's a really odd style, but it just gets quicker and quicker, and then that final touch when he plants it about 15 yards ahead of him, it's like, that was a bit aggressive, but he's there with plenty of time to spare. It's unbelievable.
What was impressive about all of it is, you talk about the likes of Timo Werner and whatever, going on that run, he had a clear picture in his head.
Yep.
From the minute he picked it up and saw the gap, he had a clear picture not only of where he was driving into, but the ball that he was going to play across. And actually, Solanke, I think it is going in at the near post and gets covered off well by Ugarte, I think. And that would have been the wrong ball. But in his head, I don't think Solanke was ever the option. In his head, it was always to the far post. And when you've gone on a run like that, the most impressive thing for me is, do you have the quality and the composure to get that ball across the 6-yard box between the keeper and the defender?
Not many centre-halves are having that composure.
It is absolutely...
I say not many, I can't think of any.
That ball is the type of ball that you want Werner playing, that you want Johnson playing, on the wings. For him to do it as a centre-back after a 70-yard lung-busting run is absolutely sensational.
It's unbelievable. And, Johnny, you've got your views on assists.
That's a proper assist. I mean, that should be a 2 assists. He should get double points. Obviously, they're all selling him to Man City. I've seen that.
Has that already happened?
Oh, they said it, I think, on Sky. I said, he's someone that City should be.
That's all right. Apparently, Andrew's going to United next week. So.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll bug it then.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to be mentioned again, because it's been a couple of years, a couple of years since our players have really been linked on the move out, which is a notional good sign.
I'll never forget that Everton 6-2 at Goodison, where Gary Neville spent the entire game sending Poch to Man United.
Yeah. And then the rest of the season selling Harry Kane to.
Playing golf with him.
Yeah.
That was our earliest goal after
on Gary Neville, actually. Just while we wrap this up, his words were, "That is one of the best things I've ever seen a centre back do."
Did he say that?
Yeah.
And he's played with some good ones.
He's played with some decent ones, hasn't he?
You also remember that football in Gary Neville's day, and
centre halves weren't doing that.
Centre halves were definitely.
Yeah, we've watched a lot of football.
Rio Ferdinand was starting to step out and do that.
You say that Beckenbauer would step out.
Yeah, he didn't play with Gary Neville, but it was sensational.
Our earliest goal at Old Trafford since the win in 2012. Again, I don't remember what happened yesterday. Well, I do. We beat United 3-0, but Johnny Evans' own goal after 2 minutes. No, me neither. And
we're not as good as Brentford on the early goals.
Wow, but they've got 1 point from those 3 games. It's Brennan Johnson.
Actually, very similar finish from Mbeumo.
It was in slow motion this time.
Yeah, it was like literally the same goal, but other side.
Good player.
Like really good player.
Yes.
Really good player.
Brennan Johnson has scored 4 goals in his last 4 games for Tottenham, as many as in his previous 32. It's also his best ever streak. He said the last time he had such a streak was in sort of grassroots football. He's not had. It was our earliest goal since Wolves. I said to you, I was at that point. I didn't quite have the telly on because I was at my son's game. But I said it was at the same goal as Wolves away, and I hope it's not the same result. But it wasn't. It was our earliest goal since Johnson tapped in at Wolves.
There was I think it's very easy to get consumed by goals and rate people's performance by goals. But I thought Brennan Johnson yesterday, there was a good piece on it on Match of the Day last night, actually. Not only offensively started to look much better, but even I think they made it, I can't remember which pundit it was last night, highlighted, I think around the 82nd, 83rd minute, was back on the edge of our box, on the right-hand side of our box, but making 2 tackles, digging in.
It was a bit of a criticism of him last season. He wasn't helping Porro out.
Well, you mentioned the other week that Porro was calling him
back.
So if he's adding that to his game, if he's helping Porro out, if he's putting that work rate in, and he's popping up at the far post, and again, you listen to the words that he was saying in his interviews after, the manager wants me at the far post. So when I saw Mickey going, I knew that all I had to do was get into that far post, and you'll get 4 or 5 goals a season like that.
That's his bread and butter goal. We said the other week his goal against Brentford was the first time we've seen him actually not score a tap in. He hit the post yesterday. He had the shot against Brentford that went wide. He has definitely been working on this.
I think since Kulusevski come into that whatever position, I'm not going to. He seems to have come a bit narrower, and so you've got this sort of triangle of Porro, Kulusevski, Johnson, and Johnson's getting into this sort of position between the right-hand edge of the box and sort of the right-hand side of the D, that inside forward, and I really like him there. I don't like him as a touchline winger, but I really like him in that sort of position. I think that's where we're getting joy from him. And as I said, whatever tweaks have been made, we've got now way more of our players are in positions where you want them to get the ball, and as a consequence, the team is functioning better.
Yeah, I agree. Only 2 of the previous 9 teams to take the lead in the first 3 minutes at Old Trafford went on to win. So there you go, another one. What happened next? Bruno Fernandes got sent off.
No. Well,
what happened is we battered them for 25 minutes. I think we had 12 shots before Bruno got sent off.
Match of the Day 2 had the first 42-minute stats, and it was a complete, because they're saying, look, we could talk about the sending off, but you wouldn't be, but actually, United had a couple of chances, but all 3 of us on Friday were concerned about this, United in the transition moments team. Actually, Ange made a comment in one of the interviews I've heard him say, he's like, them playing with 10 versus 11, he was still going to do the same thing. Yeah. They were broadly going to sit in, they were going to wait for us to make a mistake and put the ball over Porro's head towards Rashford on the break, whether it's 10 or 11. So actually, it didn't really change much. We were just tactically, we had 2 men to every person who had the ball. We were passing the ball beautifully. We were pressing them out every single time. United, we were winning the ball back 30 yards, 40 yards from goal every single time. So we were playing brilliant stuff. We weren't necessarily creating and missing chances, but the field tilt was quite.
We did have 12 shots on it and 4.
But it didn't feel like it didn't feel like you were like head in the hands, like, oh my god, we missed an absolute sitter. Adogi had a couple of shots which deflected over. We were getting there. We were knocking on the door, but we weren't missing
that's
sitters.
The point, and that's what Ange has said in the past about, he wants 90 minutes of playing like that, and it's not necessarily about creating chances. It's about just absolutely wearing the opposition down, because when you play like that, the defenders, they're going to get tired mentally and physically, and so you're going to start scoring late goals, and that's what Ange teams traditionally, I think in the past, have done a lot, is they score late goals because they batter teams like that. You might say, our XG in the first half wasn't that high. It turned out to be very high, but you might say we weren't creating clear-cut chances. But that United team must have been just, this is too much. At some point, we're going to crack.
Interesting what you said, Ollie, about...
Sorry, the one chance we did miss was the Werner one-on-one. Yeah. So that was the head in the hands. Was it on about 30-ish minutes, I think?
Ollie, interesting what you said about their tactic. If you split the pitch up into 3s, left, centre, right, 49% of Man United's attacks in the opening 38 minutes came down their left-hand side.
So Rashford.
Yeah, they literally had one tactic, which was just give it to Rashford, and we probably
they had the one chance they had when Xerxes sort of did that sliding It was a good save. It felt quite an Eric Torsved save. He sort of got his hand over the ball, kind of thing.
Big hand.
But you knew. But that was just like the warning sign. I think actually Gary Neville said, "Oh, that's a warning sign, Spurs. We were so dominant, but we weren't getting that second goal to push us away." We look rigid, we look robust, everyone knows their role at the moment. Bentancur is knitting it together beautifully, which, we've got this grey cloud.
We'll come on to that in a bit.
Over the head, so it's annoying.
It's interesting to say we look rigid, we look robust, because we mentioned on the last show that our XG against is, I think it was 5th lowest in the league before this round of games. It is now 2nd lowest in the league.
XG against?
XG against.
Sounds like opening a beer to celebrate that hour.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, so 10 a.m.
So XG against, and I know like people's views on XG and so on, but it does say that is a team not gifting up many chances. So it has to be very positive.
No, and I think it's also this sort of idea that, you can't, if you play 10 attackers, you're going to score loads of goals. No, football's about balance. Mm-hmm. And at the moment, we look relatively balanced. Yeah. And you can, we're talking about our team and suddenly it's picking itself. We at the beginning of the season, I think we did a show in early August, we're talking about the midfield three, and I think it could have been any number of combos. I don't think any Spurs fan at the moment is sitting there thinking any other midfield three.
I think it's Bentancur or Basuma at the moment. I think you're right.
No, Bentancur's way ahead.
Well, I want to come to that in a minute. So 42, 43 minutes, Bruno Fernandes, for the first time in his 242 Man United appearances, which stuns me, was sent off.
That does stun me, because he's a player that should have been sent off.
Certainly 2 yellows.
Quite a bit more than he has.
Yeah.
He's that sort of player that could easily pick up 2, 3, 4 yellows a game.
Thoughts on it? I think
I haven't sworn yet on this pod, and he's a player that could bring that out of me, but I'm delighted he got sent off.
It wasn't sending off.
I don't care. You know what?
Of course I don't care
about Basuma. No, I don't care whether it's sending off. I look at Basuma sending off against Forest, where it was similarly actually give a care. It wasn't malicious. It was his legs flailing. It's hit a point of the leg, and he's got a red card. Bruno deserves everything he gets. He's a cheating.
Okay,
footballer.
But putting that to one side, right? And I don't disagree with that, but it's not really the point. The point is, at the moment when a ref is making that decision and VAR are not overruling it, that's a concern for football just generally, because it's not sending off. I don't think anybody that's ever played football or anybody that's ever watched football all their lives would say that is a dangerous tackle, it's malicious or anything like that. It's a yellow card. He's stopped Maddison on the break. It's no more than that. And my bigger concern, and I'm delighted he got sent off, because obviously it helped us, particularly after we played with 10 men for 83 minutes, 3 days before. So it was a big helping hand. But it's a concern for football that officiating is at those sorts of levels. That's bad.
I think, having watched the replays of numerous replays, Kavanagh has the worst view in the house. I think from his angle, Bruno catches Maddison high. I don't think he sees the slip.
I don't mind him giving the red.
VAR has to, I think.
Exactly that.
But ignoring the slip.
I think you have to ignore the slip.
Ignore the slip. He slipped, and then he's like, I've got to get Maddison. And actually, he consciously brings his leg up to quite a height, and actually Maddison's in the air when he connects with him, so it hits at the top of the shin pad. Actually, it's at knee height, so you're asking for trouble.
Well, that's what done him. Is the point of contact.
You've asked for trouble, and you know what? As I said, he deserves it.
But if it's the other way around, if Maddison's getting sent off on Bruno, you're livid.
Isn't that what part of being a football fan's about? Look, don't get me wrong. It's also one of those ones with VAR where, maybe there's a bit of faith in the system, the fact that we can't overturn this because actually
he's got the
rules are there, and actually, you know what? It's like the penalty the other night against Karabag, that VAR can't overturn it, and actually it's one of those ones that if the ref gives it, it's difficult to overturn. If the ref gives that as a yellow, they're not going to VAR to go to a red, so it falls into one of those ones, and you know what?
About time we benefited.
Ultimately, I don't really care either way. I thought it was a bad decision all round. It was a yellow for me. But at the end of the day, you're right. Bruno's had plenty where he should have walked for his 2nd or 3rd or 4th or 5th yellow card offence that he hasn't picked up. So it is what it is. And ultimately, I was speaking to a number of United fans. They don't think it had the slightest impact or bearing on the
we had
result
12
of the
shots
game.
before that.
Yeah, I mean, no United fan that I'm speaking to is saying that it changed the game, or if that hadn't happened, then maybe. None of them are saying that. So in the grand scheme of things, it's actually fairly immaterial.
Little quiz. It is Man United related, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Gary, is a tough tackling central midfielder yourself. Let's fit right into your. Bruno Fernandes was the 4th Manchester United captain to be sent off in a Premier League game at Old Trafford. Can you name the other 3?
Definitely Roy Keane.
Definitely Roy Keane.
Definitely Robson.
Man City, not Robson.
Really? Okay, so I'm going to go Bruce.
No.
Wow. Cantona.
No.
Blimey. Ince.
No.
Do I get a turn? Or?
You could
No, but
buzz in.
The most famous sending off I can think of, but he wouldn't have been captain, was when Solskjaer ran the length of the pitch and took that lad
I think it was
out.
Gary Speed he took.
That was class.
Didn't take him out that. But yeah, it was.
That was class.
But but he wouldn't have been captain. But I'm going to go. Was it
Pallister.
no. Ince?
No, you said
Neville.
Ince. No. There's one very obvious captain that United have had.
Beckham.
Like Rio?
All right, I'm going to tell you.
Wait.
Schmeichel? Rio?
No. Stop saying Rio and Ince. You said it more than once.
No, go on. I've only got
Well,
one.
Nemanja Vidic against
yeah,
Liverpool. He
yeah.
kept getting sent off against Liverpool.
Yeah.
And Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
Wayne Rooney against West Ham. All right, enough.
I don't remember that game.
Half-time comes and goes. And at that point, really key, obviously, to score again, but to bury the game up 2 minutes after half-time. And I want to point out someone who did something about 3 steps before the goal.
Yep.
Solanke.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a header.
Strong. I actually thought the ref was going to give a free kick.
I
It was
thought
a
he
cheap
was.
free kick. He knows that United fans are onto him. He can give them something back by giving a
But
cheap
it wasn't a free kick.
It wasn't, but you've
No.
seen them give
Yeah,
them.
absolutely.
Solanke muscles.
They got
Delict.
given quite a lot towards the end of the
They
game.
really did. Solanke muscles, I think it's Delict out the way. Brilliant header into Johnson, who goes on a run, squares it, gets a lovely little nick. Maybe that was Delict. I don't know who Solanke out-muscled, whatever. And Kulu, brilliant finish. I don't know. I've asked on Twitter. He says something which I think is Swedish, and even a Swedish person said, I can't work out. He's screaming something into the camera, which I can only assume now was, lads, it's Man United. Brilliant goal. Brilliant goal.
Yeah, it's a lovely goal. And I think you're right. It's as much as Van de Ven made the first, Solanke made the second, and it wasn't a foul. It's exactly what you want your centre forward to be doing. And he applied the exact right amount of pressure where it's like, it's not enough for a free kick. The defender's got to be stronger. But then it was the header afterwards, the
Right into
presence
his
of
path.
mind. Yeah.
Right into. He didn't even have to
Can we
break
have
stride.
a Solanke, or are we going to concentrate as well? Because I thought he was first half he was bruising.
Let's
them,
do it after 3-0.
Okay, fine. He was brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great goal.
Yeah, and then look, I'm not convinced that the ball from Johnson was a great ball.
He took a one touch at too many, I think.
I'm not convinced
But
it was a
I
great
don't
ball.
think Kulusevski was quite in the spot
True.
at that point.
True.
So it's
But whatever, it's worked out fine, and Kulusevski's finish was brilliant. And as much as we're going to talk about Solanke, I think we should talk about Kulusevski.
I'm in love with the guy at the moment. You go through this with players that come in and out of your conscience. He's always been an incredibly hard worker. He's been playing in this position that's not really him. And he said, I want to play centrally. He's getting that chance now. He's the first name on the team sheet for me. I know there's plenty of them that are. It's a bit of a saying, but he's just in brilliant form.
Yeah, his game yesterday. I mean, they gave man of the match to Van de Ven, which I think was an easy choice because he had the highlight of the game. But the actual man of the match was Kulusevski, who was unplayable, absolutely sensational. And it annoys me as well. I was even reading an article this morning that said everything Spurs did creative was Maddison. It's just lazy. It's just lazy reporting and lazy sort of punditry to give the man of the match to Van de Ven. I'm not saying Van de Ven didn't deserve it, but he wasn't the man of the match. I'm not saying that Maddison wasn't creative, but he wasn't the creative force. The man of the match and the creative force and everything yesterday and this season for most of it has been Kulusevski.
Yeah, if you had to pick a player out of the 6 games so far, for me, it would be Kulusevski.
Yeah. We made the point a couple of weeks ago about players that didn't have an international tournament coming back, and he looks fresh. We forget at the beginning, midway through last season, I think he had a baby. And 3 of us can attest to, it does. It's quite hard work those first few weeks and months, and remains hard work. there's always stuff going on. They're not robots. But he has come back this season with a position change, fresh. He looks fit, and it seems to suit what that position he's playing seems to suit his style. Because on the right, he had that fantastic 6 months under Conte. Where people didn't really know he was, but then it became quite apparent that he wasn't quick enough on the outside, and then he was just cutting on the inside. Actually, in this position, he's able to go both ways. He's strong. Seeing someone talk about have we got our Dembele replacement? It's different, but it's the fact that he's so strong. He's driving the ball, and he's different.
He's further up, but in terms of style, the way he goes past people,
and I think he's probably better. He's probably gonna have more assists and goals than Dembele because he's playing a bit further.
But also
up.
by playing slightly centrally, it allows him to be slightly right side, slightly left side. He can drift.
But most crucially, it's bringing the best out of Maddison. And I'm also going to add Solanke adds to that as well. So what's happened here, we've had two fundamental personnel changes. If you're going to say Kulusevski in for the Sarr position and Solanke into Richarlison, and that has demonstrably improved us. And as such, it's improved Johnson, it's improved Maddison. And if we had and I think Son, hopefully he is the last one to sort of knit in and get the benefit of that when he comes back from injury, whenever that may be.
I think Kulusevski is a much better footballer than I think people realise. If I think about cricket, he's a touch player. Like the touch that he gave for Maddison,
brilliant,
when he flicked it off, and
in the Coventry game.
Yes, and we've seen him do it in the Coventry game. We've seen him do it a few times in pre-season. We're back to goal, and just a little flick off the outside of his boot, round the corner, and somebody's in. I just, like the guy is what I really like about him most is he's stepping up and wants the responsibility. I didn't see him. I was surprised to hear that he was captain of Sweden, but you can start to see it. Like, he wants the responsibility. He wants to take that onus on. He wants to be the man. And you can see it. Like, he tracks back, he's tackling in midfield, he's winning, he's pressing.
He's quite an intelligent guy.
Bright
and
guy.
And he's got a proper life experience guy as well,
Another one that Ange would like, his curve. Hasn't always had it easy.
And I'm guessing Sweden probably look quite a young team now, going through
very young.
They're going through
a transition,
sort of cycle rebuild, and
but they've got some great players.
He's probably like one of their senior players. Weirdly,
they've got some great players.
Yeah,
they're upcoming.
So for him to be captaining that team it says a lot. He's a really valuable player.
This is not a criticism. I think he needs to add a few more goals, and he got one yesterday. I'd like to see him. He's got 8 Premier League goals last season, which is good. You want him to be getting 8 to 10 each season.
I think in this middle position, the expected numbers of goals and assists for him, he should be getting about 15, 16 direct goal contributions, in my view, playing in that position.
Yeah.
And he's still a little way off that at this rate, I think. I don't know how many assists he's got this season. So he's still a little way off that. But whether he hits those numbers or not, the team as a whole starting to knit around him and Maddison and Solanke, that triangle that you mentioned there, it's such an impact in the way that we play. And it also, most crucially, you mentioned the impact it's had on the likes of Johnson and Maddison. Most crucially for me as well is it means our fullbacks, there isn't as much onus on our fullbacks to get into those attacking positions, which was leaving us exposed because we have more creative force now across the whole of the front of the pitch.
Are you saying there's a plan B?
Well, I don't even think it's a plan B. I think it's an evolution. I think exactly that. I think it's an evolution.
I think it's B, guys.
I think it's an evolution of A. I think it was always where Ange was wanting to go. And if you listen to Celtic fans were saying the second season they looked a lot more solid.
Well, what I'm going to say is the fact that imagine you were facing up against Spurs and you're going to say, guys, actually you want Udogie to get the ball in the number 10 position on the left-hand side. Well, now actually Maddison is getting it there. Son kind of is getting it there when he,
Kulu's getting
and actually
on the other side.
You want those guys, and Kulusevski is getting it on the right-hand side. Johnson's getting on the right side. Porro, I don't mind. Actually, Porro, I think can invert. Actually, I wanted Udogie going on the outside, and I thought he was really good on the outside yesterday. But the point is that we're now, because of the Kulusevski tweak, and I think with Solanke there as well, and the role of the fullbacks has definitely evolved slightly. They're not as high up, and they're certainly not as not double invert. And as such, we look more rigid. We're not being caught on the counter, but more crucially, better players are getting the ball in the right positions, and I think you talk about goal contributions. I think it will start coming when, if Kulusevski's getting the ball and he 20 yards out inside the right, but and he can have a shot with his left foot. If he's having more shots, it's going to happen. It's not. He's got a good strike. So these are things that are naturally should continue to go.
Was there a word on Udogie's injury?
Well, apparently Ange said that it was precautionary.
Okay. Yeah.
But what's good is that we have the ability to take off Udogie for precaution, to protect him and not run him into the ground, because you've got Jed Spence coming on, who played really well yesterday, really well. And he is, for me, starting to really embed himself as a critical part of the squad.
It's great he can play on Thursday then.
We'll come to that in a second. Great club signing.
Yeah.
Jed Spence.
Hey, I just don't get it. He is a supremely talented
We've said
player.
it all along.
He's got
all
the attributes.
Come on, mentality.
Okay, and it looks like he's changed
fine,
it.
but if he's changing that and he's coming on yesterday at Old Trafford and Andrew's trusting him, Andrew's going, we're not going to take the risk with Udogie, we're going to take him off, and that's okay because we've got Spence.
He could easily have put Dragusin on and put Van de Ven.
Could easily have done that, but to put Spence on, I think, is a big endorsement of Spence, and Spence went and played very, very well. And obviously you'd want...
He's actually got a decent... He's not a bad left foot. He can actually kick it.
Yeah. Like Werner. But I mean, obviously you'd want Udogie starting most games, but if Udogie doesn't make it against Brighton and Spence starts...
You're fine with that.
You're like, yeah, okay. We're not drastically weakened.
What it does, you could play Davies there for balance, but Spence has the energy much better than Davies.
100%. Spence adds another dimension to that,
all right.
to both covers on the fullbacks.
Yeah, and then 3-0, the tap-in merchant, Dominic Solanke. You wait till he's on penalties, I'll hate him even more then. Brilliant movement. If you watch the replay from, I think it's a reverse angle replay.
Yes.
The way he drifts in. United defence, a bit like
I think
that.
you should just clarify, because somebody's going to pick up on you saying, I'll hate him even more, then you should just clarify that's a joke, tap him, pen merchant.
Not me.
All of that. He doesn't hate him. Just generally people out there are going, tapping and pen merchant.
When's he going to score a proper goal?
Yeah, exactly. Although he should have scored a proper goal.
He should have scored one off. But you know what? Rewind back 2 minutes from the goal, or not even 2 minutes from the goal, like less than that. And he's taken off Werner. He's taken off Maddison.
Van de Ven.
And he's taken off Van de Ven, and he's brought on Dragusin into the back four. He's brought on Bergvall, and he's brought on Mikey Moore.
No, he brought on Sarr at that point.
Oh no, Sarr. And then
Moore came on later.
Okay, but either way, what an unbelievably young football team that was at that point. And then immediately Bergvall takes a corner, flicked on by Sarr, and then our new centre forward. And I just love that goal for the simplicity. I mean, don't get me wrong, like United, but I
love every Harry Kane goal from 30 yards. I love centre forward scoring tap-ins.
Well, you were a centre forward, and you know that a good centre forward sniffs that out and knows where to be. And you look at the corner coming in, right? And it's easy to say it's another tap-in for Tom Solanke. Hang on, there are about 4 or 5 players that could have gone into that area.
It's not just standing,
and none of them did. None of them did. He was the one that did.
You have to make that's maybe a tap in. I think it's actually going in the header, but
no, it's not.
You don't think? No. Okay, calm down, everybody.
My son said to me at the beginning of the season, he said, "Daddy, if I score like an overhead kick, will you give me £50?" I said, "No, I'd rather you score 10 goals from like 2 yards."
Yeah.
And I'll give you £100 for that. But it's like that's what a striker does. I'm sorry, like all of this sort of BS these days about sort of categorizing goals. It's like they still count for a goal. Yeah. A penalty is still a goal. A tap-in is still a goal. A 30-yard is still a goal. Like in golf, a drive is still one shot.
Well,
and this is the point. The two-inch tap-in in golf is still one shot. So that's what I hate about it. It's like this, he's only scored 3 tap-ins. I'm delighted. He's there. I'm delighted because he's got that natural forward
sniffing it out
instinct that great strikers like you and me have.
Someone who listens to the show, Ben Lev, sent me a message last night saying no one actually pointed out the goalkeeping in the Carabao game was so bad, but actually Solanke was on his toes.
Yes,
and Son had the shot and he reacted.
Yes. He also had it yesterday on the second Werner.
Yes, he was there.
The second Werner one, and he was there. But actually, credit to Onana, he got up brilliantly.
Similar to the Brentford.
He got up really, really well on the rebound. But he's there, and so he's had three decent chances, and he's hit the target every time. He scored one. Anana's save from the rebound one from Werner going through was a really good save. I'll give credit there, and I think he should have probably scored the 1-on-1.
That's the one that I was a little disappointed with, because if he had scored that one just on the angle, but if he'd have buried that, to me would have been like, this is a striker.
Could do it all.
No, not even
we
that.
We know he can do it all.
But he can score that. We've seen him score that goal for Bournemouth and so on. But I would have been like, this is a striker that is now settled and established and sensitive.
His hold.
Yeah, I know, but it just would have been the icing. It would have been the.
By the way, his hold up play, his one touch passing back to goal.
His work.
His work rate, his pressing was.
There was
phenomenal.
a moment early on. I think it was already at 1-0. It may even been early, where they gave the ball away just after Onana had passed it to the fullback. Solanke was like just running around like a wasp. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah,
that's relentlessness.
Well, the whole goal, the first goal, actually came from high press.
It might have been that,
and then them playing out.
Yeah,
and they got out, but it was kind of, they got out, but it was like, whew, we got out.
We talked about this a few weeks ago. Richarlison would work hard, and I think it was Jake Sanders who said, "No, it's not that. It's all well and good you running around, but if the team if you're not doing it as a team, or if it's not controlled, it's kind of irrelevant." Whereas they are working as a team. Solanke is bringing them up with them, and it's impossible for teams to get out. Brentford couldn't get out. United are better than Brentford; they can get out, but.
Well, they barely did. But no, but the things for Solanke as well, he's giving confidence to the guys around him to also have faith that if we hit him back to goal, actually, if there's a runner who's going to run past him, he's going to hold the ball and he's going to get that ball to me, be it he brings it down and passes. He might pass it back and then there's another pass going forward, or he's actually doing a first-time layoff.
Richarlison can't do that.
Richarlison... And also, I think Solanke's stronger than Richarlison. Oh. There's less emotion, there's less drama, and I don't mind Richarlison, generally don't. But what we thought we were getting with Richarlison is what we're actually getting with Solanke, and we always saw Richarlison
number 9,
but we always saw Richarlison as this. You'd hate to play against him. And then we got this guy that actually was like, well, actually, he's not really making it horrible for the defenders.
Agreed.
Solanke is everything you wouldn't want to play against.
Correct.
Remember those.
Horrible to play against.
Yeah, I mean, imagine having to chase him and run him, and he's tall, he's fast, and he's willing to do everything. Look at the header for the second goal, everything. And we all said at the time when we were linked to him, it was like, I can see the logic in that.
Oh, it was
absolutely logical, and he's had this. Poor guy. That goal drought was horrific. A whole 2 games without a goal. I mean, he must have been like on the verge of anything happening. But he's now on the run. He's fitting in the team, but the team are feeling confident. They know there's someone to hold it up there.
And as much
well
as
done, mate.
As much as we might say, well, he hasn't scored a proper goal yet. Actually,
they're proper goals, Gaz, mate.
No, but actually, in this Spurs team, he is going to get a lot of those goals because the chances we create, the number of touches we have in the box, the ball will bobble about and he'll be there, one touch, bang, and that will start to come as well.
I don't care.
He will score. No. But what I'm saying is, I actually think it's a real positive that he is sniffing out these chances and showing that he's there, because the way the team is set up to play, those are the goals that he's going to score.
But if you're
loads of those.
If you're the opposing goalkeeper, you can't spill it.
Yep.
This all. But also, like one thing I'd like to say is this. Again, nonsense. £65 million to the 3 of us, to our listeners, is an extraordinary amount of money. In football, it really isn't. It's not a big amount of money, fine. But for a Premier League centre forward, it really isn't. So stop sitting there talking about this huge price tag. Huge price tag now is probably 85 plus. He's in a category below. Can we get the most out of him? Fine. Stop talking about price tags. It's so boring. 65 million for a Premier League established centre forward is not a lot of money. So, and it's a boring narrative.
Do you think that Solanke will get a call up in the next England squad?
Well, I think he'd have got called if he'd scored 19 goals for Spurs last season. He'd have been in the England squad, but because he did it for Bournemouth.
But hold it, because there's a spot now because Tony's gone to.
That's a good question.
The 3 who went to the Euros were obviously Tony, Watkins, and Kane.
Kane's
in. Oh, Kane came off over the weekend, didn't he?
Achilles.
Watkins is obviously going. There's Tony. Tony's gone to Saudi Arabia. So
unfortunately, yes, I think he does get a call up.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, unfortunately, because of the risk of more games, injury, and so on. But actually, I think
for
it's
him,
to be
it's
proven.
wonderful. Yeah,
exactly.
and give him nothing but
confidence and vindication in exactly the move that he made, and motivate him even more to keep doing what he's doing.
Who England playing?
Finland and Greece.
It's a good.
Yeah.
It's annoying though. I looked, but the one thing it was annoying is that we are playing West Ham 12:30 straight after the international break, which is like the worst kickoff at that worst slot.
Well, at least we're at home.
We are at home, but anyway. But yeah, I hope he does get in the squad, because I've said here on the previously.
I think you're right. With
I think, but the idea there, knowing no Spurs players in the England squad, absolutely really annoys me.
You speak for yourself. I mean, West Ham 12:30. I've got a mate's 40th that evening, so yeah. I mean, that is a full day for me. I'm looking forward to that a lot.
Good. All right, 4 wins in a row for the first time since last September, October. We know what happened next. We played Chelsea. Positives, I will say pretty much all of it. I do have 2 negatives from this game.
But of course.
Of course, it wouldn't be me if I didn't.
Maybe you can't. You're not going to get perfection, and we were really close to not far from.
But actually, it's not anything that happened really in the game. It's Spence not being in the Europa League squad. It still really annoys me.
Yep.
It's Bentancur, who is my absolute man crush. What an absolute sexy piece he is.
I was Bentancur man crush. I'm veering towards Solanke now. He's rugged.
Okay. But
no, Kulu to me is a real pin-up.
You like that sort of thing. Bentancur, what a player. I've always loved him. He comes back. He either gets injured, suspended. Gary's gone. Gary's out for 5 minutes. When Gary gets the giggles, he's gone. What a player Bentancur is.
Well,
on that half turn yesterday was incredible. And we've got this ban coming up. It's so frustrating.
It's and also, a few weeks ago I was really worried that we weren't going to see that brilliant footballer. I was worried if it was one too many injuries and now we're seeing the one, and I think he's light years ahead of Basuma.
Not light years ahead, really.
No, I'm not
trust him more.
I'm not pro Basuma.
You trust him more.
But he's playing brilliantly at the moment. He's fitting that position beautifully. He's playing with confidence, and we've got this ban whenever it's going to happen.
But it's a guy that's injury free finally, for the first time for a period. It's always been stop start the last year and a half.
That's the problem. It's going to be stop again.
And he's got minutes in his legs, and you can see it makes such a difference. And we're talking about the difference of European football this season rather than being on the training pitch. You can see the players. We mentioned Werner. The players that are getting minutes in the legs, they're improving and improving.
Yeah,
and
Bentancur's a good footballer.
Yeah, but for his standards, he was below standards. But as he gets more and more minutes, and he's feeling the game more and more and more, he's becoming again the Bentancur that we know and love, and he is a wonderful player.
I think the frustration from my perspective is that we're talking about at least a 6-game ban, which I really don't think the crime fits it.
Well, I don't want to talk about what he did.
don't, but
when is
to me,
it,
he
John?
should be doing.
No one knows. You're supposed to be the 19th of September.
No. That was when we had the right to appeal.
Oh, right.
And we've also got the frustration because it seems that there's a loophole that's got all the other players out of things, and
he shouldn't have said what he said, Ollie.
No, he shouldn't say what he said.
But we should be punished for that. It's not the club's fault. He wasn't even in the continent when he said it.
No,
it's mad that Tottenham are going to get punished.
Unfortunately,
to me, there's something that happened when he was in Uruguay.
To me, there's like double standards as well on the way that racism is policed within the footballing world. There clearly is an issue. It needs to, if it can be stamped out, because obviously there's prejudice everywhere. But it feels like I think he should be like doing an education from. And also remember, Sonny is notionally the victim.
Yeah, and Son's fully behind him.
And it's a really quirky one.
It's frustrating. I don't want to get into the ins and outs, but I love him, and I want him to play every single game.
Hopefully, he'll be available for Brighton.
Well, he'll be available for. Remember, he'll be available for European games. One of the games should be could be used up by a League Cup game.
No, I think it'll be a domestic ban.
Well, there you go. So
I saw used up. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
He's obviously suspended from Uruguay as well at the moment. So he hasn't had the best of summers, and that's why I also thought that the private things he was the bad interview coupled with the Uruguay issue and the poor form and the injuries.
You were like, where's he going?
I was like, and I was wondering whether Ange was going to, that was like, actually I'd listen to an offer for him. that has changed very, very quickly. You know, it was a stupid thing to say. And, you know, he suffers, we suffer. And, you know, it's just really frustrating.
All right, a couple more stats on the end of yesterday's game. Back to Kulu. Created 9 chances, the most on record, which for Optus since 2003, by any visiting player at Old Trafford. What a performance from him.
Yep.
Dominic Solanke has scored in 3 consecutive Premier League appearances against Man United, becoming just the 3rd Englishman to do so after Jermaine Defoe and Bukayo Saka.
Talking of Jermaine Defoe, by the way, last night on Match Today 2, at the very end, they did Cole Palmer became the 9th player to score 4 or more goals in a Premier League game. They had all the other scorers, but they didn't have Defoe against Wigan.
Really?
Yeah, so you can have a chat with some of your mates.
Oh, I do know the editor, so I'll have a word. Okay. I mean, that's it, really. And then, listen, great to smash Man United. They're a mess. We don't really need to talk more about them. But as we said at the top, going to Old Trafford and winning is... Look at I said on to Ian Irving, those 20 celebrations after the 1-1 draw, United are still a thing. They're not acting like a thing, and they're far from being a thing. But still going there and smashing them 3-0 is absolutely
There was
wonderful.
a very different narrative about Liverpool going there earlier in the month and winning 3-0. That was all about how wonderful Liverpool were, not about how bad United were. We go there.
It's all about United.
It's all about how bad United were. Actually, I thought we were better than Liverpool.
Yeah. All right.
We were great.
On to Thursday. We play Ferencvaros, top of the Hungarian league. We did have a Hungarian journo lined up, but he cancelled last night, unfortunately. I did get a couple of others who both told me, all 3 of them actually, told me they could do 2:30. I don't know what goes on in Budapest on a Monday morning. They were all available at 2:30, but couldn't do it. Maybe they're all in a big meeting together until about 2:30. Anyway, they're top of the Hungarian league, 6 wins from 6. They've won the last 6 titles after a relatively barren period. They did lose at Anderlecht in their opening fixture 2-1. They last year got to the playoff round in the Conference League where they lost to eventual winners Olympiacos. New manager in Pascal Janssen, who was at AZ last season. We play them, I think, don't we?
We do.
Europa League this year.
Yeah.
Led them to 4th in the Dutch league last season, playing very attacking football. Their main man is Barnabas Varga. Do you remember Varga at the Euros got knocked out? And they put the screens around him. I think it was against Scotland.
Oh, right.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
And everyone thought he might be dead or whatever, or might be out for a very long... That's him. He's back. He's playing. 20 goals last season. He's in good form this season. Look, I've written here, it won't be easy. We need to win. We've got 1 win in our last 9 away European matches. That was against Marseille.
Well, and there's a great man who always says that away form is such a indicator for how good of...
Was that me? Was it you?
Yeah, it was.
It was you. I think I copied it from you.
No. It is an indicator of you know the mentality and you know getting your job done over there. And you know 1 win in 9 European matches. You know that stretches through. You know that is a Conte, Mourinho, Nuno thing. The back end of Poch. I mean, you know you think about we hadn't won away. You know we had that weird game away to. Oh God, was it Slavia or something? You know, under Poch we won 3-0, but that was the only game we won under him away from home. We've really have struggled away from home for quite a while. So it's time to.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to that Spence thing because you know with Dragons in suspended and you know you're not probably going to play a Dogi. We're now picking from 5 defenders on the club on the books within the squad.
Yep.
So it feels like a, you know.
Right. So what does he do Thursday?
I don't know.
Well, Davies will play. Whether he plays centre half or left back, he'll probably have to play left back.
He's got to play left back.
We did the other day. So is it Romero and Van der Ven?
It's got to be. Which is annoying.
Annoying.
Like that is really annoying.
Especially if
Porro
one picks
will
up
have to
something.
play as well.
Yeah.
So
this whole Spence is so bizarre.
Yeah.
Well, he could go in first. He could go Gray, Van der Ven, Romero, and Davis.
Yeah, he could.
You could play Gray at centre half, by the way.
Yeah. Let's assume that Gray will take the place of either Romero or Porro.
Dragusin or Porro, you mean?
No, Dragusin's
suspended. Dragusin's out.
Yeah, we'll take the place of Dragusin.
Oh, sorry, last week.
So, right, I'm talking like in terms of
sorry, yeah,
what we think could start. Right, it's going to be
Van
one of Porro or Romero.
The annoying thing is Van der Ven played obviously against. He played against Karabag. He's played this Sunday. He's probably the player that you'd like to sit there and have a rest. So maybe does he go Davis centre back with Romero, Gray right back, and maybe go Porro right back, Gray left back?
I mean, look, I think Gray's going to feature in the defence. which one of them is left out. It probably won't be Porro. It will likely be one of Romero or Van de Ven. Davies will certainly play, I think, on the basis of... I mean, Basuma started the last European game, and if Bentancur is going to be available for Brighton, then Basuma starts again.
No, but Bentancur should be starting as well because he's not going for the internationals because he's suspended.
Yeah, but
just run him into the ground.
No. The point is you don't want to run him into the ground. Like you want him fit and firing against Brighton. If he's going to be available, give him 20 minutes, the last 20 minutes against Ferencvaros, but play Basuma so that you keep Basuma.
We saw Basuma and Bergvall again.
Yeah,
and I hasten to add, it will be disjointed. It won't work.
Come on. It might well be because they don't play together often. But we're playing a Hungarian team with respect.
So you can't shrug your shoulders. You tell me they've won the last how many league titles in a row?
6.
They're no mugs.
No, come on. This is difficult. But
sorry, so this is part of the problem with the Europa League from our club's perspective. We're like, we're playing against this. No, go out there, be professional. Be respectful.
I get that.
And because we could, let's be honest here, 7 minutes in last week, we're down to 10 men and they've missed a penalty again. So we've won at United. Now let's go in there professionally and get the job done. Why do we always
be careful with You've got to be careful with players playing too much football.
Yep. If we were playing a Champions League game, we'd be full strength. I hasten to add. So
I think you can get away. Yes, you have to respect your opposition, but you're playing away to, albeit a decent football team, and who could beat us? Of course they could, but I think these are the games you have to rotate your players.
Yep. Yeah, but I, like I said last week, I want us to rotate. I still want to be like 80-ish% first team. Now, these guys can play football. We're still early in the season.
You just said to me they're not robots.
No, I was talking about like mentality-wise. There are too many.
I've got you there.
You know what I mean. I'm going to back my argument whichever way I can and lie through it. But I think we need to go there and win because
we do. But these guys should be good enough to do so.
Agree. I'm with Johnny on this one.
For the first time, why not, mate?
No, but you've also we're talking about a defence as well that needs protecting as well. That because we're now short of numbers. So I don't
see the issue playing Saar, Basuma, and Bergvall in midfield. It may well be disjointed, mainly because they don't play together.
And then who'd you go up front? So you got Werner,
Solanke, and Johnson.
We don't really have a choice. He's not chucking Lancashire into this game.
No, so it's Werner, Solanke. So it's front three. Werner has to play. He's got to get minutes.
I know people will call for Mikey Moore, but again,
no. It's Moore can come on hopefully when we're 3-0 up.
Yeah,
but
3-0 up after a disjointed performance.
I say hopefully, of course. And I may add, I really hope Werner scores loads of goals and does really, really well. I don't have faith he will.
Maybe the Hungarian league is his level.
Maybe.
I mean, the goal is still the goal. The goal doesn't move.
So just shoot at the goalkeeper a hell of a lot.
It's frustrating.
Right.
I wish he was good because I really like the guy. There's so much about him I like, but
we just need to go there and get the job done. We're away to Brighton on the Sunday.
That is going to be a fun game. I watched them against Chelsea.
It can be two teams on the halfway line.
I mean, how they play was crazy.
The tactics the two teams had all the dots straight. Like,
I mean, it was. I don't know if you saw it. But literally, Chelsea just got the ball and just plopped it over the top into yards of space. And we talk about a high line, but we talk about a high line with Van de Ven, Romero. They've got a high line with Lewis Dunk. I mean, it's kind of. I don't know. It's madness.
Listen, if they play like that, well, we're gonna preview Brighton on Friday anyway. But if they play like that, we should have plenty of opportunities. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to ask I've given you 3 sentences on Ferencvaros' history, basically. So you now have to predict.
Experts.
You're now experts. Give me a prediction for a disjointed Tottenham at Ferencvaros, Oli Spiro. Silence.
3-1.
2 Spurs.
3-1 Spurs, yeah.
Right. 2-0 Tottenham.
I'm going to go 2-1 Tottenham. Gentlemen, thank you very much. 4 wins in a row. What a happy pod. Let's make it 5. What happens if we make it 5, Gaz?
And then we beat Brighton as well.
6.
You won't know what to do with yourself.
I'll combust.
Exactly. I'll resign because there's no negativity.
I don't know what we'll do. We'd become like all the other pods.
You'll have to come in with a big "I love Ange" sign or something like that.
It's peaks and troughs, and it will be throughout.
No, but look, we go into the international break having had a really good hopefully a great run between. Unfortunately, the first game we lost after the international break, but an okay-ish performance. But since then, we've come back from that, and if we can beat Ferencvaros and Brighton, which I'd like to think we can give that a real go. We go into that second international break.
We're setting ourselves up nicely.
And Solanke might be in the England squad. Suddenly, like, okay, I'm seeing shoots here, and this could be exciting stuff.
Hope so.
And then we get the international injuries.
It's got to bring it back down. All right, gentlemen. Ollie, I think you're back Friday. Are you back? I can't remember. You're not back. You're having that day off.
I'm not.
I think Jake Sanders will be with us on Friday. I don't remember Jake Robson. He used to come on this show.
Former friend of the show.
Oop. Am I going there? Do you know what? No. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you next week.